All right, everybody. Can you hear me okay, Mayor?
No, barely.
Can't hear me?
I can hear you, but it's very difficult.
Okay, well, I hear you. So if you can hear me and I can hear you, then we'll just wing it from here as best we
Turn it
can.
up.
And
Make sure I can hear it. Hold on.
because we're live now. And
Now I can hear you.
all right, cool. So, folks, the reason we wanted to have the mayor back on is I just wanted to make sure that we had the most accurate information out there for everybody after the meeting today and after what we're watching, what's going on with the weather forecast. So, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was that the town manager, Andy Hyatt, and the town council earlier said that it's a mandatory evacuation, which means you would like everybody to get off the island by 3 o'clock tomorrow. So can you kind of explain what a mandatory, it's not like you can go house to house and pull people out, but you would like them to leave.
Yeah, I just want to clarify a few things. That we're obviously not going to go house to house pulling people out. We're not going to be arresting people that are flying in tomorrow. Is that feedback from you or me?
You sound fine. You sound fine on the air.
Okay. Lee County Sheriff's Office is not going to be there arresting people. If you're flying in, you're still going to be allowed in. The 3 o'clock mandatory evacuation is essentially this storm, as we've said for the last 24 hours, is moving fairly quickly, and we don't know a lot of details, or defined details yet to this point as to where it's going to hit, what the surge is going to be. So we're just trying to be proactive to get people, if they can get off the island by 3 o'clock tomorrow, we highly, highly encourage you to do that. It is going to be mandatory. The county tomorrow will be coming out and saying essentially the same thing. They will have their shelters open at some point tomorrow. I don't want to speak for the county, but they will be able to tell you that tomorrow when they have their press conference. But they will be open tomorrow. We're just essentially trying to get everybody off the island that can go.
Yes.
If you have the ability to leave, come Tuesday, we're expecting conditions to worsen. It's been very rainy today. It's going to be very rainy tomorrow is what it looks like. It's not ideal to be packing things up and get out. So we're just trying to get ahead of the game. We're just trying to get people off the island and safe.
No, I think it's a good call. I think you guys made the right call. I think that part of what happened with Ian, we don't want that to happen this time. I mean, we don't want anybody to die. We don't know how the storm is going to play out, but what we don't want is there to be a misunderstanding of how much storm surge there is, and then people stay and people die. We don't want people to die, so that's the most important thing. I mean, even if it's a dud, that's fine. But if it's not a dud and you stayed on the island, we don't want anybody to die this time.
No, we certainly don't. We don't know yet, and the hardest part is to say that we don't know what the storm surge is going to be yet. As we said in the meeting, that cone is still almost the entire west coast of Florida. That means that storm can land anywhere. Milton could hit anywhere, north of us, south of us, directly at us. We just don't know. So we want everyone to be safe. We want everyone to get off the island. I would love nothing more than to say Thursday morning, you know what? We overreacted.
Yes.
I'll be happy to take those calls.
Yeah.
But I'd rather overreact than, as Andy said, have another board hanging on the wall.
Yeah, and if you have questions about anything, you should post them right now so that we can answer them now. Yeah, because one of the things that people are freaking out about is the bridge. The town does not control the bridge. The bridge is not going to be closed. So I want you to address that. I don't want to speak.
I think some of the questions that people are asking, at least that I've been messaged or called upon over the last hour since the end of our meeting, is, I'm flying in at 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'm not going to get there before 3. Am I going to be allowed on the island? Lee County Sheriff's Office is not going to be at the base of the bridge on either end of the island, stopping people from coming onto the island. That is not our intent. That's not what we want to do. If you need to secure your house, we want you to secure your house. We just want you to know that when it does turn and the conditions are bad, there's going to be no one here to help save you if that ever comes to that. We don't want it to come to that. We certainly hope it doesn't come to that. But that's the point of the mandatory evacuation, is to get people to safety. And we know that this is short notice. Trust me. I understand it. I mean, I'm still working to get our stuff taken care of too. It's very short notice. It's not because we want to do this, but Mother Nature doesn't care what we want. She has decided that she is going to bring a storm our way, and she's not going to give us a lot of time or details until she's ready. And we have to work on her schedule, and that's kind of what we're doing.
And Joe, I'm going to answer your question because I do know that there is sand and there are sandbags available at Town Hall, just on the side of the trailers. And I think you guys mentioned that they're going to be available till about 2:00 tomorrow. They don't want people lingering around on the island after 3:00 tomorrow. So if you have sandbags or you want sandbags, then you can go to Town Hall. There was a ranger in because I was over there today helping out people. There was a golf cart filled with the sandbags. If you want to, I think they were giving out 20 per resident. And
I think it was 10 per resident with with your ID. But there's plenty of sand. We're not going to run out of sand.
Right.
Staff will be there till 8:00 tonight, helping people. They'll be there again tomorrow. But we have to also get our staff to safety as well. They'll be around to help as long as they can. And keep an eye on both your show and on our Facebook page and on our website. We'll update it as much as we can, as fast as we can, as the conditions change. But there's plenty of sand. The county's been great with helping us with sandbags. We've been going through, I think he said we've gone through 10,000 bags in the last 2 days. Yeah. So people are certainly getting sand, but it's going to be flowing.
One of the things too is if you I don't even know if this is the right thing to say, Dan, but if you have a chance to volunteer, like if you're an able-bodied person, there are older people that are trying to fill sand, and it sucks to see that they're trying to scoop the sand into the bags. If you can help, if you have a shovel, you can go and help the folks out that are older or can't, or maybe injured or something. They could use some help. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but that's the way it was today. So as far as that goes, until 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow is what I'm guessing that you guys. Then you want people to.
Yeah, if we want you to take care of yourself and your property and your belongings first, and then if you can get that done and you still have time to spare, by all means, please help your neighbor. Yeah. If that means filling bags, that means helping them load a truck. If that means helping them get stuff upstairs, whatever that is. If you still got time to do it, but you need to do what's in the best interest of you and your family and your belongings first, and then help your neighbor. I see some comments or questions coming up on there. I don't know if you want to ask them.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I kind of want to lead into that because one of the problems that we had after Ian was the communication, getting the communication out. Yeah. Everything went down. You couldn't find the government. And so what I want to make sure is that people that live on Fort Myers Beach know where the government's going to be, how the reentry passes are being handled, or where they can get a pass if they've actually waited too long to get a pass. So if you can kind of help people through that, because Andy said something about Target today, and I was like, I've never fucking heard anything about Target until today. And somebody mentions Target today.
It's in our plan. If you actually read the plan, it's actually in it. But yes, so Target off Island is where we're going to have staff. If you need to get a pass, if you have your ID to show that you don't have a pass, you'll be able to meet staff up there. They'll be in the van, the Bay Oaks big white van. You can't miss it. Where they're going to be exactly in the parking lot, I don't know that yet. But that's the initial plan right now, is to have them there. We don't know where the checkpoint will be. That could change. It could be Pine Ridge Road. It could be the base of the bridge. It's going to depend on flooding. It's going to depend on a lot of different variables. But at that, we'll have more staff there to check the pass to allow you back on the island. A big question is obviously contractors, people that are going to be here. Just go to Target, work with our staff. I think the best thing you could do is if you're contractors, and this is just me talking, if I were a contractor, I would want to have as much documentation showing that I should be there doing work, not just showing up and saying, I'm working on Bill Smith's house and you need to let me on the island. If you have something, whether it's a contract, whether it's a letter from the owner saying that you're their contract, whatever it is, the more information you can have to present to our staff, because if it gets bad, if it gets to the point where don't want people that aren't supposed to be there on the island. We need to do as much as we can to make sure we're protecting people. We don't want just people coming on the island and going through people's houses. Lee County Sheriff's Office will be here like they've been since the last storm. You're, as I said before, if you're planning on coming to the island to do bad things during the storm, it's not a good idea.
So Dan, let's talk. Let's try and answer Lisa's question. Like, if you don't have a hurricane, reentry pass now, you can get it at Town Hall tomorrow until about 2:00, and then after that,
there's no place set up yet as of after that. I mean, we're going to have our staff off island. I'll talk with Andy tomorrow to see if there's something that we can set up somewhere. Reach out to one of us council members. We'll try to direct you as best you can. It's a good idea if we can find a spot somewhere between, once the storm gets here, no one's going to be on the island, hopefully, including all of us. But hopefully we're all gone. So there's no need to come back on the island. Now, after the storm passes, people will be at Target. But during the storm, there's probably going to be no place for you to get your pass. It's going to be afterwards. And where that point of entry is going to be, whether it's the base of the bridge, whether it's Pine Ridge Road, we don't know that yet.
Okay. So there's no reason contractors should be trying to get on the island on like Wednesday when the storm is coming through. There's no reason for that. So
there's no reason for any. Wednesday morning is the initial reports of when it's going to hit us. It's high tide around the same exact time, or hit wherever it's going to hit, I should say. But we're going to feel the effects of it starting on Tuesday, very heavy effects. I mean, we saw the rain today. The outer band rains were today. You're going to see more. It's going to intensify tomorrow. It's not going to get better as time goes on over the next 48 hours. So we want to make sure that people can get off the island as fast as they can. Like I said, there's not going to be someone coming around with sirens on at 3:00 saying, you got to go. But we want you to go and understand that it's a message of the intent is to get you to move as fast as you can and secure your belongings and secure yourself and just get somewhere safe. You don't have to go far. And I saw someone ask a question, where's a good place to evacuate to? Fort Lauderdale. I mean, that's going to be up to you. If you get 15, 20 miles inland, you're going to probably be pretty safe. Just look at the way the storm's going to go. Obviously, all models are showing it's going to go directly across the state. It's not going to turn and go up the state into the other states. It's going to go directly across. So wherever that cuts across, I would probably try to stay out of its direct path if I were you. But that I can't give you I can't tell you what city is the best city to go to. Just get inland where you're not going to be flooded.
Right, get off the island. That's what we want people to do. We just want to get off the
island. We're in a high hazard flood zone. You want to get off the island and inland as far as you can.
Yeah, and you don't need to wait until Lee County meets tomorrow to tell you to evacuate. You're in an A zone if you're on Fort Myers Beach, and that means get your ass off the island.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Sanibel's not far behind us if they haven't done so already. I mean, we're all in the same flood zone. We know this is going to be a big storm. This one, like I said, it's a little bit different. It's not that we're trying to hide information. We just don't have all the detailed information yet. You watch any news source, they're still the cone is the entire West Coast. As soon as we know, you're going to know. And our message is by then it could be too late. If you haven't started packing, if you haven't started preparing, if you haven't made plans to get in your car and leave, it's going to be too late.
Yeah, and one of the things too is if you have a trailer, if you have a food truck or a trailer, you should be hitching that up right now and getting it off the island. That's not even a thought right now. You need to get that off.
You should, yes. I mean, other way to say it. Anything that you can get off this island, you should get off this island.
Yeah. So
it's the worst case scenario. You're not going to have it when you come back.
Yeah. The thing that's really sucky about this whole thing is that it's raining right now. It's like pouring right now, and it doesn't look like the rain's going to let up. And you guys always deal with flooding when it rains, and then you have a hurricane coming at the end of the rain and the storm surge that could follow that. It's going to be a major water event, and that's what killed people the last time was the water event.
Yeah, it wasn't the wind; it was the water, and water is unforgiving. We've had less than 2 weeks ago we had a water event, and the ground's saturated. Now it's raining. I mean, it's just it's one thing after another. And again, we'd rather be over prepared than under prepared, Ed. And it's not going to make everyone happy, and we understand that. But I'd rather you be able to argue with me in the face come Thursday than not be able to argue with me at all.
Right, and I think that the doing getting out in front of it this way will never. Nobody will ever say at the other side of this is they didn't tell us early enough to get out like they tried to do with Ian. But the other thing that I wanted to ask you about was part of what the problem was with Ian after Ian was that the government wasn't really set up somewhere until too many weeks later. I felt like when Sanibel, they were already set up at the hotel in up in Bell. I think it was Bell Tower.
Bell Tower, yeah.
And they were set up. Do you guys? I didn't read the plan, and if I didn't read the plan, I'm guessing a lot of people didn't read the plan. Where are you guys going to be set up if you have to set up outside the beach?
Yeah, we've got place. We're going to be up by Bell Tower. We will be at the not just slipped my mind, the Doubletree Inn, I believe it is, which is out by Bell Tower. That's where we've got our temporary setup as of now. Starting, I think tomorrow or Wednesday. I have to double check, but it was Wednesday. But I think we're shooting for Tuesday now. So we'll have people available there as well, and obviously Target.
Yeah.
I know it's still working with Arlene and talking to Benita about what we're going to do on the south end of the island, where it makes a good spot. This is, you hate to pick a spot and then it's too far inland. So what we learned after the last storm is the hotel where staff and everybody's vehicles were set up was evidently not far enough away, and everything was swamped including the entire first floor of the hotel. So we don't want to make that mistake again. But we'll be in contact. We won't be out of contact. All of us will be able to be reached. We're heeding our own warnings. We're all going to get to safety. So it's just get to safety. That's all we can do.
And folks, part of what you recall from Ian is, this is going to be a water event. There's going to be storm surge, or assume it. You never know anything. Your vehicles, you should figure out how to move your vehicles off the island somewhere so that you have a vehicle after the storm passes, because it was a vehicle cemetery when Ian came through after everybody lost a vehicle.
You just look at the last storm. It was a 6 foot. We'll say we were 5.5 to 6 foot storm surge, and there were vehicles stuck on the street. There were cars stuck in their garages that flooded out, and that was at 6 foot. If this is worse than that, you can imagine. Again, the message is very clear. Anything you can get off this island, get off the island. It's time consuming. It's raining. It's uncomfortable, but you got to do it.
Now, if you look at this map, Dan, that I just posted a little bit ago, this is the storm surge. Let me take that other banner off there. This is the storm surge map that they put up there, and you can see we're kind of in the red and the orange, and that's 6 to 9 feet of storm surge, and that's not friendly.
That was from 11 o'clock this morning. So
yeah,
11 o'clock tonight. I'm hoping we'll get some more accurate models that'll tell us where it's going to go. We have seen that it's ticked a little further south, just from this morning. Obviously, the further south it moves, the worse it is for us. Being on the dirty side of the storm, I don't know that it's going to move far enough south that we'd be on the non-dirty side, if you will, of the storm. But it's going to be a major water event, and depending on the tides at this point, if it's at 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, or even a little bit later than that, high tide is early in the morning as well. So you're going to be dealing with roughly a 3 foot high tide as well. So it's not ideal conditions, and that's why we're trying to make sure people understand this is, we're not trying to make you panic. We're not trying to make you scared. We're not trying to worry you. We're simply just trying to tell you what we know and what can happen if you don't get your stuff out of here. And from there, it is on you.
Now, one of the things, if you do leave your house, if you want to, it came up at the meeting today because it was somebody that actually asked the question, is you can put a note on your house that says the house is empty, because if there comes a time where there needs to be a search and rescue, they go door to door. they don't know nobody's in the house, they want to make sure that somebody is not dead in the house, so they might go in the house. I don't know what the rules are, but if you evacuate your house and you don't want anybody kicking your door in, again, this is the far extreme of things if it actually comes to that. But I mean, who knew it was going to come to that during Ian? Put a note on your house that says we evacuated, there's nobody in the house, and that should cover it, right?
Well, I mean, they, search and rescue people have their own code that they follow. If they feel that somebody's inside, if they smell something, if they hear something, that they're going to make entry. This is communication. If again, we can't force everyone to leave. We are not naive. We know people are going to choose to stay. If that is your choice, then let as many people know as you can. Let us know. Again, we're not going to come knock on your door. We're not going to force you to get out. Lee County Sheriff's not going to bang down your door and drag you out of your house. We strongly encourage you don't do that, but we're not going to do that. And yes, if you're leaving, put a note on your door. Ian took away a lot of the things that we all cherished, and they're not back yet. So to see the devastation that we saw that day, we're probably not going to see that, in all honesty. But it doesn't mean we're not going to see some devastation. It doesn't mean we're not going to see some water events. It doesn't mean the low-lying houses aren't going to flood. If the map that you show, 9 feet of storm surge, comes to fruition, just imagine what we had a week and a half ago, and add 3 feet.
That was 3 to 5. Yeah, that was 3 to 5.
Add 3 feet to it. Now, if you were knee deep of water, you're in water up to your chest or over your head. So this is not a joke. This is not something that people should just look the other way on. The ground is saturated. We're getting a lot of rain. When we know what the storm surge is predicted, that's an initial report that you showed, 6 to 9 feet, which is higher than what we had before. So if you're at the low range, it's what we had a week and a half ago. If you're at the high range, it's 3 feet on top of that. And that could change. And that could change by tomorrow morning.
Right. And you mentioned earlier today on the show that you folks that, first of all, if you're on a first floor, if you only live in a first floor house, I don't know how many are left on the island, but if you live in a first floor house and you see what's coming, now it may not come, but if you live in a first floor house and you don't leave, I mean, you're really putting yourself in danger if this storm does come through. If any of what they're saying comes through, there's no.
Before we finish that, I don't know who Williams Pamela is that's commenting on this. Come on in, looters. Bad idea. Very, very bad idea. There are people who will protect their property on this island. There are people that are not going to leave because they feel they need to protect their property. So you can say, Williams, Pamela, whoever you are, come on in, looters. Do not encourage that. We don't encourage that because you will be leaving in handcuffs at best. So stay away. Don't come and try to take people's property. Stay away. And I can guarantee you the Lee County Sheriff's Office is going to be here, and they're going to be here heavily. And they're not joking around. If you don't remember after Ian, when they had people sitting on the curb of Estero Boulevard handcuffed 5 and 6 deep because they thought they could beat the system and come in and steal somebody's livelihood, it's a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. So don't encouraging people to leave is not saying we're welcoming looters. It's saying protect yourself. We will do everything we can do to protect your property. Lee County Sheriff's Office will do everything they can do to protect your property. But property can be replaced. Things can be replaced. You can't.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ed. I didn't mean to get off the tangent. That just kind of irked me a little bit because people think by saying we're telling people to get off the island to protect themselves that we're inviting looters, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So what her point, I think, I don't know if it's a real person or not. I apologize if you are, but sometimes you just never know on my page with 109,000 followers, by the way. But if you put a note on your door, I mean, I can see the point where it might be inviting somebody in, but the sheriff's department is going to be there. I mean, it's not like they're just going to say, okay, screw the island, we're not going to go on there. They're going to be patrolling the island after the storm. So, I mean, it's up to you.
I'd be willing to bet if people are coming to the island to do bad things after a storm, a simple note on the door is not going to change your mind one way or another. If there's a note on your door or not, it's not going to change someone who's coming to do bad things. It's not going to change their mind.
Right. And the other thing is, I didn't say put a note on your door and leave the front door open. I mean, secure your house, secure your belongings. I mean, if you're leaving the
Yeah.
island, take your valuables with you, or take your money with you, or whatever you got. You know, and just I don't know what the right answer is, but just don't die is what I'm trying to say.
Well, there is no right answer. The right answer is anything that you care about. You do your best to get off the island. Now we understand people aren't going to be able to be here to do that. There are people that are probably watching or listening from afar that aren't going to have time to scramble people to get here to do what they need them to do. And we understand that, but
Yep.
you have to understand that I trust in the Lee County Sheriff's Office. I trust in what they do. I know that they're going to do everything they can do to protect your property. I know that there are people on this island who will do what they have to do to protect their property and their neighbor's property. It's a very bad idea if you're going to come here to try to do something you shouldn't be doing. It's just a bad idea. There are people that will stop at no end to protect their property and their neighbors. So just don't be stupid. Stay away, get off the island, protect yourself.
Right. So if anybody has any other questions, if there's anything that you feel like you're confused about, or any of the reentry passes or anything like that, you should ask them now, because I thought that the town council and the town manager were very clear on things that they would like people to leave the island by 3 o'clock tomorrow. And then, we'll see what happens. You guys will see what happens after that. And you have a PIO, a very informative and on top of it. Nicole's right on top of it. So the information will be pushed out, and we'll pop on live as much as we can, or as much as we have to. We're also going to be on the island. We're going to stay on the island to give you guys reports starting Wednesday. We're going to be at Margaritaville on the Gulf side, very secure building, to make sure that we keep information out. It's important to keep the information out so people know when they can come back on if they're that was the thing. That's the one thing that's so important, is making sure people know when they can get back on.
Yeah, and we'll tell you when we know. We still don't know how the severity of the storm, Ed. And
Yeah.
I'd hate to. Hold on, I just read. Danny said target location for contractors to get on the island. It's the Target that's off of San Carlos Boulevard. It's up by Ace Hardware, just south of McGregor. I think it's McGregor, Gladiolas, McGregor, that corner up there. It's up by Terra Nostra, all of that, just north of Ace Hardware on the opposite side of the road. That's where the target will be.
Here's the other thing I would like for folks that follow our page to share. If you're going to go to a hotel in Fort Myers somewhere, we're 19 miles away from the beach and Gateway. So, I mean, when we're on the airport kind of grid, so I feel safe with our power. But if you're going to go and stay in a hotel, share that information with us so that we can say, okay, we're staying at this hotel and it's 159 or 129 or something, because then we can share it with everybody on our page. If we don't want people getting price gouged at this time either. So if you find a hotel where there's a lot of rooms that you want to share the information with that you got off the island, let us know that so that we can push it out there, and we'll keep a complete list of the hotels and different things like that, because we just want you to get off the island, be safe, and then get back on the island when you can. That's the most important thing.
And, keep an eye on what they're saying with the storm surge. The storm surge is going to be very, very important, obviously, for us. Where the storm hits is very important, but that's not everything. It's what happens around it. And just because the storm may hit north of us doesn't mean that we're not going to see heavy, heavy storm surge because of it. We don't know exactly what that's going to be yet, but pay attention to it. And you got to remember, when Ian hit, yes, that was more storm surge than we're probably going to hopefully see during this storm. But a lot of the structures that were there to knock some of that down and slow some of that down are not there. So even though you may be down halfway down a street, look what's down your street in front of you. Take all this stuff has to be taken into consideration, Ed, because what we have now is much different than it was 2 years ago. And although it may not be as strong on paper, if you will, of a storm, doesn't mean the impacts won't be just as bad, because there are a lot of things that aren't going to block this when it comes in. So just be smart and listen when we tell you to leave. We're not doing it because we just want you to leave for no reason. We want to make sure that you can come back. And if you don't leave, we can't guarantee that.
Yeah, and obviously, if this storm comes through, the number one goal is that nobody dies. One of the things that I think is important too is that when we saw it with Helene, if you have a porta potty, there's a lot of porta potties on the island right now because there's a lot of road construction or construction going on, residential, whatever it is, commercial, and everybody's got a porta potty. I think you really should either figure out a way to really secure that or get it off the island because they became like projectiles during Helene, which really wasn't even a hurricane. It was just a back ass of a hurricane. And so if you have one of those things or anything that can fly around and become, or damage somebody else's new house, or I mean, everyththing becomes a weapon at that point. When the storm surge comes in, it carries everything with it into the new construction.
And 100%. And that's why, again, if you can get anything you can get off this island tomorrow, please do so. No matter how inconvenient, no matter how rainy it is, no matter how miserable it is, not only will you be protecting your stuff, you're going to be protecting other people's things from flying into your house and causing more damage. And that's all we're trying to do is get people to be. This is a serious storm. It's going to be it's going to be a serious event. It's not something to joke around about. Just do what you can to get off the island and protect yourself and everything you can.
All right, Mayor, we'll let you go. I know it's been a long day, and hopefully we can just keep everybody updated whenever we need to.
And I see some more people are talking about they're coming down with sorry, I can't scroll up, but they were talking about they're coming with a trailer. Paul, is my flying back tomorrow evening? Pulling equipment trailers off on it takes longer to get equipment after 3 p.m. Again, I don't know that I would pull equipment onto the island, Paul, if I'm being completely honest with you. It's completely fine to have trailers and equipment. I would not bring them onto the island tomorrow if I were you. I would wait until Thursday.
Not this week. Take a week off, bro.
I mean, I understand that. I'm assuming he wants to, be able to start working on his property right away, and that's fine. As I said earlier at the beginning of this, we'll have people at Target. This is not going to be after the storm. We're not doing anything to this good advice, Jorge.
Yes, for sure.
Very good advice. We're not going to try to keep people off the island. We're going to have the pass program implemented. Anything if you're not here, if it's your contractor, anything you can get them to show that they're supposed to be on the island doing work, make sure they have it. Our staff is more than willing to work with them and understand. But what we want to do is avoid what we had after Ian. Yes. The backup of traffic from the bridge to God knows where, and it's waiting for people to get on. If you can go to the Target, get your pass, we can work it out. We can work it out to get people quicker. When you get to the base of the bridge, it's very easy to get on because you can see your pass. We don't want people backing up and stalling traffic. So go there, work with our staff, make sure you can give them anything they can to show that they're supposed to be there, and they'll be able to get on.
Yeah, I think he was trying to say pull off the island. It looks like they were trying to clarify.
I'm sorry.
Or whatever. I guess getting off the island.
Off the island. I'm sorry. It says it takes longer to get equipment off after 3. I got it. I'm sorry, Paul. I thought it said on the island. Again, we're not going to be standing at your front door at 3:00 tomorrow saying it's time's up. You got to go. This is getting ahead of it. This is telling you, get your stuff off by all means. If you can get your stuff off tomorrow and it takes you till 5 or 6, we completely understand. We just want to make sure that you get everything off that you can get off as quickly as you can.
So Lisa's got a good question about the south end. You guys will also have somebody on the south end when you need to.
Yes. We have to obviously work with Bonita because that's their jurisdiction coming in. To where that checkpoint's going to be, we don't know that yet. As soon as we know, we'll make sure we let everybody else know. But it's going to be up to them whether or not Bonita Beach Road is closed. It's not going to be up to us. So I can't guarantee that access point will be open. I can't guarantee the access coming onto the island from the north end will be open, depending on how bad the storm is. But we have another partner when it comes to the south end of the entrance, and they're great. Bonita's great. We'll be able to get the information out, and they've been more than willing to help us have a place to stage similar to Target. So as soon as we have that detail, we'll make sure everybody knows.
Yeah, and it's important for people to remember that after Helene, Bonita was hit, and they had a lot of debris to clean up
Yeah.
on that side of the bridge a lot longer than on the Matanzas Pass bridge. So just keep that in mind that you never know where the debris is going to be or how long it's going to take all that stuff to
Well,
get
and,
cleared.
and this, if Helene, it was sand. They had the same issue we had on Estero Boulevard.
Yeah.
Bonita Beach Road is 100 yards from the water. So even though those houses are close together and they're big, they still allow sand through them, and they still allow them around. So they had cleanup down there that, they have to do what they have to do to protect their residents, and it didn't allow our residents to get on. We completely understand that and respect that. And they got it open as fast as they could, just like we tried to do, and everybody moved on. So I will say, after Helene, for the most part, there were some grumpy people, but for the most part, everybody was understanding. They understood the reasoning. They understood why things happen. And again, it comes down to communication. This one, there's certainly people that are going to be upset. There's probably things that are going to make the process is going to make some people upset, and we're sorry for that. But we're going to do the best that we can to make sure our residents and the people that are here to try to help secure their properties and rebuild their properties after this can get back to work as soon as they can.
And just so everybody knows, I don't know why you would need to go to town hall tomorrow, but town hall is closing at 12 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes.
That's a press release that just came out. So, obviously the town staff needs to get to safety too. So wherever they live or whatever they do, they're all going to be working, I'm sure, but they also need to have a family plan for themselves. So
well, and it's equipment for us too. We're trying to take as much stuff we can out of the trailers that we have. Yeah. We obviously aren't going to be able to get the trailers out by tomorrow. It's just not enough time, but we're going to do everything we can to get our computers and all the important stuff that we need to get out of there by noon tomorrow, so that we can do the best job we can to service our residents when the time comes.
And listen, everybody, you all know we've done this before. So, we know the routine, and that last time maybe you stuck around a little too long, and maybe now get off the island and come back afterward, or it doesn't turn out to be a big deal, and that's fine. Everything will be fine. So,
well, when the water hits, if you've learned anything, when the water hits Estero Boulevard, it's too late.
Yeah,
it's too late. You're trying to drive off the island when the water hits Estero Boulevard, it's too late. So just get out early.
All right, Dan. We'll talk to you tomorrow for sure. I appreciate your time, and
thanks,
some rest, man. All right.
Do my best.
Mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody. Dan Alice. Just so you know, we'll keep doing the live updates whenever there's new information out. Obviously, follow our Facebook page. And you'll see that I'm continuously posting the updates from Matt DeVette and Allison Ray from NBC, Matt from Wink, so you can see how. Obviously, you can watch the news stations yourself if you want to, but I'll keep posting those updates so everybody can see the mandatory evacuation. Even though it's mandatory, they're not going door to door, and they're not going to pull you out of your house. They say mandatory because they would like you to leave so that you're alive after this storm passes. Is 3 o'clock. It doesn't mean the bridge is going to be closed. The town doesn't have the authority to close the bridge, any bridge. The town doesn't own any bridge. But it's raining now. It's going to rain tomorrow. And when the storm comes through, it's going to be a water event, and you will not be able to drive. So keep all of that in mind and get off the island if you can. So every time we feel like there's a need to pull somebody on and do an interview, we will. We're also going to be on the beach Tuesday night through probably Thursday, making sure we give you all the information. And if I'll have the bike, I'll have the truck. I don't know if the truck will work in the water, but I'll have the bike. So if I need to go down and see one of the streets for you, I'm happy to do it. We'll be in a safe location for that. So we'll be reporting on that starting Tuesday night, all day Wednesday, and through Thursday. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll keep all the information on our Facebook page. So keep an eye on that, and you guys have a great night.